Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. Now, Tyson Fury explained that Deontay Wilder and himself are on a completely different level to Anthony Joshua, but Tony Bellew will have none of that. He's not agreeing with the fact that Tyson Fury believes that. He believes that he's talking nonsense when he thinks that Deontay Wilder and himself are on a completely different level to Anthony Joshua, especially the fact that he believes Deontay Wilder is, because Wilder is kind of a one-dimensional fighter. He has one big punch. Yes, he has an unreasonable jab, and there are other things that he can do reasonably well, but nowhere near the level of Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is world or elite level, so is Tyson Fury. I don't think we can say the same for Deontay Wilder, and that's no disrespect. I just don't think that Deontay Wilder has the resume and the fundamentals, the abilities of a Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, and I think that was demonstrated and displayed in both fights with Tyson Fury. One fight where he got completely outboxed and made to look silly, and the second fight where he got pushed back and knocked out. So ultimately what that represented was levels. That's shown that Deontay Wilder cannot be at the level of Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury, because he was in a fight with Tyson Fury where he got pushed back. He got taken away from his game plan, so he was in a position that he did not want to be in. Like Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, it was a position that Anthony Joshua had to be in and change things up, look for different things he can do, survive. I mean, I know he done that against Luis Ortiz, did Deontay Wilder, but ultimately, is Luis Ortiz the boogeyman of the heavyweight division, like everyone explains, like Deontay Wilder constantly sold that fight as? I don't believe he is. Because, I mean, Luis Ortiz is having a comeback fight now against Alexander Flores, and that just kind of proves that he continuously fights this kind of opponent, then jumps up to world level. And, I mean, he's good enough to beat someone like Deontay Wilder because he's good enough technically, but he doesn't have the durability and probably the endurance in order to go the full 12 rounds in there with a heavy puncher like Deontay Wilder. And that was what cost him more so than anything else, because he was outboxing Deontay Wilder and winning the fight in both instances. So, I mean, that was a good win for Deontay Wilder, 2 good wins. And he got a good draw, if that's a thing, against Tyson Fury, a very lucky draw. But then you look at the second Tyson Fury fight, and I mean, Tyson Fury is an amazing fighter, so there's no disrespect or anything like that in losing to a fighter like that. But at the end of the day, it just shown levels. Wilder didn't win a single moment of that fight. And that just proves that there is a big gap between Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder, because I don't even believe that Deontay Wilder is the third best heavyweight in the world. I don't. I believe it's either Alexander Povetkin or Andy Ruiz Jr., one of those guys, maybe someone else, maybe even an Alexander Usyk, even though he's had one fight at heavyweight. It's just, I don't see Wilder having the fundamentals, the abilities that the others have. He has one big punch, yes, but look what happens when someone goes in there and takes that away from him, like Tyson Fury did in their rematch. Now, of course, Tyson Fury is just goading Anthony Joshua. He's saying this because, for the sake of saying it, I believe. I don't believe he actually thinks that Deontay Wilder is way better than Anthony Joshua. If he does, then nah, I just don't believe that he believes that, because Tyson Fury knows that when he fights Anthony Joshua, that will be for the #1 spot in the heavyweight division, to see who is the best, who stands on top of the world with all of the belts in the heavyweight division. He knows that that is for #1. So him fighting Deontay Wilder is not for #1, it never has been. So he must fight Anthony Joshua in order to be considered as #1, provided he can win that fight, which is going to be a very tough fight for Tyson Fury. Same as Anthony Joshua. Going to be a very tough fight against Tyson Fury. That's why we want to see it, because it is a genuine 50-50. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder is not a 50-50 anymore. It's just not. The first time it was, because is Tyson Fury ready for this fight? Can Deontay Wilder land that big punch? He always does. But guess what? In the fight, yes, probably it was too soon for Tyson Fury. And yes, Deontay Wilder did land a punch, but it didn't work. So Tyson Fury got up from that power, stepped to Deontay Wilder, then found out the way to beat him and put that into motion in the second fight. Then the levels really shown when Tyson Fury was ready for this kind of fight, and when Deontay Wilder was in there with a style and someone who has the abilities to take away his right hand and step on him and push him back and hurt him continuously throughout the fight. So given that, is Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury on the same level? No, they aren't. They just cannot be. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are levels above Deontay Wilder. And the proof is there in previous opponents and previous results. Look at Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder's best win. Who has he fought? Who has he fought since losing to Deontay Wilder? He's having a comeback fight against Alexander Flores. Then, say Alexander Povetkin. Look at the results he's gotten since losing to Anthony Joshua. So, ultimately, Povetkin has proven he's at that level. I mean, a draw against Michael Hunter, a good draw considering how he started that fight. Then a win over Hughie Fury, a win over Dillian Whyte. So Povetkin has proven his level, and he's been in there with Anthony Joshua, and Joshua has beaten him. So what about Luis Ortiz? Who has he fought other than Deontay Wilder to prove himself? So given that, there is a huge gulf in levels between the fighters. I mean, just look at their resumes. That's all you have to look at to see that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are not on the same level as Deontay Wilder. They just aren't. Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are two completely different fighters. Two power punchers, yes, but that's where the similarities end. Because Anthony Joshua has proven he has the boxing fundamentals and the skills to go back to, whereas Deontay Wilder doesn't. When he cannot land his right hand, there's nothing Deontay Wilder can do. But when Anthony Joshua cannot land his right hand, there are plenty of things that he can still do in the ring. And that is what sets them apart. So Tyson Fury saying that Deontay Wilder and himself are levels above Anthony Joshua is, as Tony Bellew explained, it is nonsense, and I don't even know if Tyson Fury truly does believe that. But guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.